Morning everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we are harvesting the majority of the rest of the tomatoes that we are going to have for the season. We were back here about 2 days ago and we had lots of orange tomatoes and most of them are red today, so we are going to pick them. We have some sauce to make, we have salsa. I think we are going to make 2 different kinds of salsa. And then this will also be our second batch of pasta sauce. So my little helper is here this morning and we are going to get picking. Sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. All right, let's get going.
Okay. What's that?
That's just an old tomato. Oh, these are tomatoes too. These are called brandywine tomatoes. Can you say brandywine?
Brandywine.
Good job. All right, let's get some peppers and then we'll be good.
Okay.
We better get another basket, huh?
Yeah.
The green beans are finally starting to slow down a little bit. We just canned another 10 quarts last night. I think that will be our last big batch. I think we're gonna get one more batch that might be 4 or 5 quarts is what I have a feeling. But I need to do a count to see how many we've ended up with so far. I've lost track. I don't know if we're at 52 or not yet. That was my goal, was 52 this year. I'm going to pick some peppers, some hot peppers. I would normally like to wear gloves for this, but I only need a couple. So I'm not going to go grab gloves for just a couple. They're kind of hiding in here. And these are just your regular Hungarian hot wax peppers. Great, and that'll be our harvest for those, I believe. So this might be it for today's harvest. I am going to check on the blackberries and see if we have any of those, and that'll be it. Oh yeah, we do have some. Now at some point right about here, and I'm going to guess it's here, is they go from the Triple Crown to, or the Triple Arc to the Navajo. And we do have some in there. So I'm gonna go ahead, I don't know if you can see those, but I'm gonna pick them real quick. Well, we're getting some. Let's see if I can, here we go. Not bad. This is very exciting. It's always exciting and just very, very grateful that we're getting all of this out of our garden this year. We've had years where we don't get as much and it's definitely disappointing. So the years that we do get a lot, it's just very exciting and grateful. Now, I probably do have enough sauce to go, to get us through the next year for as much as we eat. So to make more will probably get us over a year, which will also be good if we don't get as good of a harvest next year. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to make a batch of sauce because that'll use most of this, but not all of it. And then with what I have left, I'm going to do a salsa recipe and then possibly another salsa recipe. There's a lot of orange, probably just another day or two away from being completely ripe tomatoes. I could have picked them today and brought them in and let them sit out to ripen, but I feel like it's always better to let them outside if you don't have to worry about critters or things getting in to eat them. We've had a critter get in, but it hasn't really done too much damage, so I'm just gonna hope for the best that I can leave those out there another day or two. So we are going to make sauce with the majority of these. I'm going to follow the recipe that I followed in a previous video where you can blend the whole tomato in the sauce. You do need to have a really high-powered blender to make sure that the skin and the seeds get really pureed into a liquid so that you don't have the chunks in it. But I'm going to do that with the majority of these, see what I'm left with, and then that'll kind of determine how many different kinds of salsas I'm going to make and what kinds of salsas I'm going to make. So we will start with that. This is what we are left with. This will be plenty to make some salsa. So I'm going to see how much we need. The salsa recipe I am making today is in this cookbook. I will put a link for it in the description. And on page 166 is a recipe for Salsa Roja. I hope I am saying that right. I did take Spanish in high school, but that's been a minute since I have taken that. So I think it's Salsa R-O-J-A. So Salsa Roja, I think. But let me show you the recipe. So on page 166, and here is the recipe. It calls for 1 1/4 pound of tomatoes, 1 small onion, 6 garlic cloves, 6 ancho chilies, 2 cups of water, and 1/4 cup of lime juice. It says it makes about 3 half-pint jars. Now, I am not going to go through all the work of canning all of this to just make 3 jars, so I'm definitely going to double this recipe. I've never made it before. I hope it is good. I was wanting a mild recipe because I personally don't like stuff that is super spicy. I don't mind a little bit of spice, but if it's super spicy, I can't do it. And also if it has full jalapenos in it, I can't do it. For some reason, if I eat anything with chunks of jalapenos in it, it really upsets and messes with my stomach. So anyways, I'm excited to give this recipe a try. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be something me and the kids can enjoy. So let's give it a whirl. One thing I really appreciate about this recipe is it actually has the weight. It seems like anymore I really enjoy just weighing the ingredients rather than measuring. It just takes all the guesswork out of, is this right? Did I measure the same way the person that made the recipe measured? So it calls for 625 grams of tomatoes cored. So since I'm doubling it, we need 150 grams. So we will get out my trusty kitchen scale. I'll put a link to the description in this one also about this. I'll put a link in the description to this also. I really like this one. It's very simple, easy to use. It's made by OXO or OXO, however you say it, which always makes good stuff. So we need 150 grams. Let me get a bowl. We'll zero it out with the bowl on. So let's go ahead and we will core the tomatoes. All right, that is $12.90, so that's, I would call close enough. I kind of wanted, just looking at this, I kind of wanted a little bit more salsa than this. I'm gonna see how many chilies I have. If I have enough, I might triple this recipe. These are the chilies I got. I had to kind of shop around. The big box store did not have them, and then the other grocery store that I normally go to that has like usually everything didn't have these, but a different one did. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's about each bag has 6. So I only have enough to double the recipe, so we will just go with that. That way, if it's not the best recipe, we don't have too much that we have to stomach through eating. The cookbook did have really good reviews, so I am hopeful. So the next thing it calls for is 1 small onion, so we need 2 small onions. Okay, now the recipe calls for 6 garlic cloves, so 12 garlic cloves. I don't have actual garlic cloves, I just have minced garlic that's refrigerated, and it wants me to roast it with these vegetables. So what I'm going to do is just skip that part. It, you know, might not have that roasted garlic flavor, but that'll be okay. Now these are toasted. The next thing I'm going to do is remove the stems and the seeds inside and get them in this pot. Once I processed the tomatoes, I then did the same with the chilies. They did turn pretty pasty pretty quick, but I am putting them into the sauce now and then adding the rest of the ingredients. Now that it's been cooking for a few minutes, I am going to taste test it. And one thing it definitely needs is more salt. So I am going to go ahead and add more salt. I did add quite a bit more salt to this to get it to the flavor that I felt like it needed to be. But that was all that I added. My kids are watching a show in the background, so that is why I'm doing a voiceover right now. But I did taste it, and then I added just a little bit more salt. This salsa is really, really good, but it definitely has a very, very distinct, deep, rich, smoky flavor. It's completely unlike a traditional salsa. I don't know that this will be a salsa that I just sit down and eat. Actually, I can tell you, I would definitely not do that unless one thing I did do later was add some plain Greek yogurt in with that, and that definitely toned it down a lot. It's not that it's spicy, it's just a really deep, rich flavor. And I do have somewhat of a weak stomach. I know that if I would eat a lot of this, it would probably upset my stomach, probably all the chilies in it. And after making it, I do feel like I don't know what Salsa Roja is supposed to taste like, but if I were to make this again and just make it to eat, I would probably have used a quarter of amount of chilies. Now, it is important to follow the recipe for canning, so I, probably just wouldn't make it again. But it was definitely good. I'll be curious to see if these jars grow on me as we eat it up, but definitely good, definitely different. So it's just always fun to try something new, see what you end up with. And I'm definitely excited to go to a Mexican restaurant and try something similar to this and see how it compares. Now the sauce is officially ready for canning, so I am putting it into the hot jars that were in the dishwasher and removing any air bubbles. We will put the band and lid on and get it in the water bath canner. We ended up with 6 jars of Salsa Roja. All right, the next salsa recipe I'm making is out of this cookbook, the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. And on page 201, there is a recipe for fresh vegetable salsa. This sounds like a pretty basic, everyday kind of salsa. There's tomatoes, peppers, onions, a little bit of cilantro in it, so I think it's gonna be really good, and there's some other things. So this is the one we're gonna make next. I already chopped the onions last night, so I still have everything else left to do. We will go ahead and do that and get some salsa going. The tomatoes are supposed to be peeled, so what I'm going to do is put them in some boiling water. Well, first I'm going to rinse and core them, and then I'm going to put them in the boiling water that I have going on the stove, and we will let them boil for a couple minutes, and then immediately put them in a bath of ice water, and then that'll stop the cooking process and make the skins real easy to peel. And then we will do the next step. But while this is happening, I have dinner in the oven, and then I'm going to start chopping the green peppers. All right, we got our 2 cups of onions from yesterday, and now we're gonna dice these and hope that we get a cup of green peppers, because this is all I have right now. All right, we safely got 1 cup plus a little extra to munch on. So next, let's see, jalapeno peppers. I have banana peppers, so we are going to use those. All right, I tasted a bite of these peppers, and they have a really strong kick to them. I think it's because they're supposed to be yellow, and the fact that they're red means that they are extra hot. So that is good enough. That might even be too much for me. That's probably 2 tablespoons worth, but I really don't like that much heat, so we'll leave it at that. I hear the water starting to boil for the tomatoes, so let's go ahead and get those blanched and peeled. I'm just going to drop them down, and I'm gonna make sure it touches the water before I drop them, just to make sure it's not, you know, we don't want to just plop and drop it in and make it splash. So or you could use a spoon or like a ladle to set them down in. This is working just fine. All right, these have been boiling for a couple minutes now, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off and put them in the ice water. Take them out one by one, like so. Oh yeah, those skins are already coming off. I probably could have done this a minute earlier, but I was busy, so now is when it's happening. All right, and now it's time to peel. We are going to turn the stove on and get that up to boiling for a ½ hour. Give it a good stir. It did say to start frequently, so we'll be keeping an eye on it and stirring it frequently. While that's heating up, I am going to get my jars ready. I have some hot water in this pot here, and I am just going to wash the jars out in some hot soapy water, rinse them out, and then set them in it, and then just keep it warm until the salsa is done cooking. And then these will be ready to get salsa in them. It's very important, I'll probably say this every canning video, it's very important to make sure that your jars are hot when you're putting hot liquids in them, just to prevent thermal shock and keeping the jars from cracking. It is time to do some canning. I'm going to show you what this kind of looks like before we get started. Came together really nicely. That looks like a really good salsa. It is a little chunky, but that's how I like it. You definitely could dice stuff up finer if you don't like it so chunky, but This is perfect for us, so it is time to go. All right, so I'm going to turn this down a little bit and just keep it on a simmer. And then these are the jars, they're ready to go. And they are nice and warm. Put the funnel on. We got our ladle. And before every ladle, I like to go around and just give it like a little stir, just to keep what I am scooping consistent in each jar. And then we'll go ahead and ladle that in. The recipe says to leave 1/2 inch of head space. I don't know, you guys, I might get 5 total, so I am going to go ahead and wash another jar real quick in hot water and get that up to temp. I'm gonna put this last one in, shut the lid. All right, we're gonna get that boiling. Once it starts boiling, we're gonna set our timer for 20 minutes. That's how long it takes. And then the recipe says to let it sit for 5 minutes once you turn the heat off. So we will see you in 25 minutes. While that is canning, I am going to go ahead and try what we have here. I really hope it's not too spicy, but we will see. That is perfect. That is so good. That tastes so fresh, so delicious. That's awesome. That is so good. This is definitely going to be my new go-to salsa recipe, without a doubt. I am just going to take these out, set them aside, and let them cool for 24 hours, and that'll be it. That is it, friends. That is it for another video. Thank you so much for hanging around while we make something new in the kitchen, harvesting our goodies from the garden. Like I said, I'm very excited about this recipe. Definitely my go-to recipe for salsa indefinitely. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to stick around, please don't forget to subscribe. I try to post a new video every Friday of what I am working on that week. Thanks again for sticking around. Hope you have a great day and a great rest of your week. Bye.